Greetings YouTube, Simon here. Welcome back to the channel, and I've got some more Final Fantasy VII Remake goodness for you to feast on today. Now, this has to do with a new video that's been posted to the official Final Fantasy YouTube channel, and I'll leave a link to it down in the video description. I believe this video is going to be the first of a whole new series that they're going to be posting leading up to release, and it's going to be, giving us all the developer insights and interviews and all of that good stuff about the making of the game. And this first video had a number of interesting interviews with, some of the higher ups on the remake, such as Kitase and Nomura here. I love the way that Nomura is just so casual, like, yeah, the way he's just chilling there. He knows he's the man, doesn't he? Anyway, one of the things that I really want to focus on for this video is going back to that topic of whether Midgar is going to be a true sandbox world for us to explore in the remake, or whether it is just going to be a more linear experience with a few expanded areas. And I believe that Nomura gives us a pretty definite answer here as to which way they've gone in. And for most of us at this point, I don't think his answer is going to come too much of a surprise, but for the sake of clarity, I think it's important that we all know where Square are coming from in terms of the development of this game and the direction they've decided to go in. Of course, for the one or two of you that may not know by this point, the Final Fantasy VII Remake is actually a remake of the first portion of the original Final Fantasy VII, the events that cover Midgar, but those events have been expanded into a full game. Now there will be sequels for the rest of the Final Fantasy VII story to be released at a later date, but for now we're focusing on that Midgar portion. So let's go ahead and see what Nomura has to say here. Now we're going to be playing for about the 8-minute 35-second mark, but again, you can watch the whole video at your leisure.
そこにこう今回セブンのリメイクでも歩ける、全部がいけるわけではないですけど、いける範囲は広がってはいるので、そこに登場するキャラクターとか住人たちっていうのもかなり濃く描かれてはいます。おそらく過去に感じたミッドガルの印象より没入感のある描かれ方になってる。
Okay then, I don't want to play too much. We need to try and keep this under fair use, of course. Right, so I think, Nomura is fairly clear here, and he's, very open about this, that Midgar in the Final Fantasy VII Remake is not going to be that open sandbox environment that perhaps some people were hoping for. And I guess he just feels, perhaps the direction they've taken the game in, that Final Fantasy VII just doesn't need that. So yeah, we're not going in that direction. Instead, what we're going to be doing is the areas, this is what I understand anyway, the areas that the narrative is going to take us in Midgar, those areas are going to be expanded upon so that we can explore them more freely. Now, we do know that there's going to be plenty of side quest content in Final Fantasy VII Remake, but what we've also deducted from the various screenshots and media that's been released is that all of that side quest content is going to be specific to the individual story chapters of the remake. So the remake's been split into various chapters, and the content you're going to be able to do, even the side quest content, is going to be limited to which chapter you're currently playing through. And I think that pretty much indicated, even way back when we first started to learn about this, that therefore Midgar isn't going to be, a full open world environment. You can't just go through and complete all the side quests in the game and then come back and do, chapter 1 or chapter 2 of the main story when you wish to at a later date, like you could with perhaps some other open world games. It is going to have a little bit more linearity to it than if it was that full sandbox environment. So obviously we know it's going to be expanded upon from the original Final Fantasy VII, but it's not going to that full extent, which I think, let's be honest guys, is fairly realistic. When you look at the opening cinematic and you see Midgar in all of its glory, the true remake version of Midgar, not the original Final Fantasy VII Midgar, but the remake version, there's so much going on there, on the plate, below the plate. I mean, it's just massive, that thing, and to try and build all of that into a game engine was probably not going to be realistic. Now, one thing that we can say, though, and I think this is pretty much certain at this point, is that we are still going to be exploring brand new areas that weren't present at all in the original game. So it's not just the areas that we know from the original Final Fantasy VII that are being expanded upon, but there is going to be completely new content here as well. In fact, if I can find it at one point in this interview, let me just try and find it. Okay, right, I found what I want to show you. So first of all, before we get to what Nomura says here, for those of you that have played Final Fantasy VII, the original game, you'll know, of course, that Midgar is split into two layers. You've got the bottom layer, the base of the city, and that's become the slums where all the poor people are living. And then you have the upper level, or the plate, which is where all the rich people and those that are working for Shinra and all of that and have got, you know, the good cozy jobs, they're all living on there. So they really have their view of the underlayer completely blocked out. And I just like this image here that I've paused from the video because you really get to see the plate in relation there to the rest of Midgar. Now, one of the things that you'll know about the original game if you played it is that you never really got to explore Midgar above the plate. Most of the game time in Midgar was taken up exploring the bottom level in the slums and those places. And you did get glimpses of life above the plate, such as when you visit the Shinra building and what have you, but that's really all it is, glimpses. So one of the things that Nomura has said that is going to be a focus here of the remake, and this is actually something that's exciting for me as a Final Fantasy VII fan. I'll just play you what he says here.
序盤でもっと上が見られたらいいのになとは思ったんですが、そういう昔プレイした時にもうちょっとここを見てみたかったなってところにもうちょっと手が届くようになるといいなという。そこに見えてる施設に入りたいとか、ビル入りたいとかっていう。
Yeah, so what he's saying is that they are focusing a lot more on events that occur on the upper plate of Midgar. Now, we've already seen through various other YouTubers and through other media that we are going to be spending quite a bit of extra time in the aftermath of the Marco explosion from that bombing mission, you know, walking around the debris and stuff and seeing all the effects that explosion's had, and that is events that occur above the plate. But that's really a destroyed version of that area, isn't it? Because we've had that explosion. But it sounds to me like Nomura is saying there is going to be a lot more focus on events, even right from the early game here, where we do get to explore above the plate. And that's something we never really got to see in the original Final Fantasy VII. So I think this is really what it means when they're talking about expanding on Midgar. It's not talking about a true open world sandbox environment, but it is talking about giving us a heck of a lot more content than we got in the original version of Midgar in Final Fantasy VII. But there are still going to be limitations, and that linear gameplay is probably still going to be a thing to a certain degree. And finally, something we did actually already know, but at least it's been clarified again in this video. The Final Fantasy VII Remake, despite taking place only around Midgar, is going to be a full Final Fantasy sized game in and of itself. So we can expect, I guess, anywhere between 25 and 40 hours of main story gameplay. And then I'm sure with all the optional side quest content, we might be able to push that up to 100 hours plus if we really want to explore everything. A lot of people are pointing to the fact that the game is going to be spread over 2 Blu-ray discs as an indication that maybe there'll be even more content than that. There may be more gameplay content, but I do suspect that the 2 Blu-ray disc situation is due to the fact there's going to be a lot of pre-rendered cinematic cutscenes. You know, they add to the gigabytes quite a bit. But there we have it then, guys. So I think it's good just to have some clarity here. Midgar is going to be expanded upon. We've known that pretty much since it was announced the game as being split up in this way. So it is going to be expanded upon, but it's not been expanded upon to the point of it being a full open world sandbox experience. So if you have any other questions or comments, then please do share those down below. You know, I do like to hear your thoughts, and if there's anything that I've missed, then please do let us know, guys. I'm sure that will help people as well. But thanks for stopping by, checking out the video. Don't forget to stay tuned to the channel for more FF7 Remake content going forward, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.